These are all the books I read in the past 2 years, maybe 2 or 3 more. And before that, I read 0 books. I'm not an expert on this or someone who's read 100 books. I'm just a dude who finally picked up this habit of reading and realized it was not as daunting as I thought it would be. I went from not picking up a single book to now looking forward to reading every single day. And that transition took time, and today I'm going to share a few things that I've learned along the way. After years of procrastination, I finally picked up a book in the lockdown of 2020. I was bored in quarantine and I thought there would never be a better time to build a new habit. Luckily, I was quarantining with a friend of mine who had started reading a few months back, and he had a few books lying around in his house. So I picked up a book which seemed interesting, and it took me more than a month to finish that book, and slowly one book after another, and here we are. Before I start to talk about what worked for me or what helped me, I feel knowing your why is a good start. For me, it was knowing more about the things I was curious about, like how to not procrastinate, how to be more productive, how to let go of imposter syndrome, and the list goes on. So naturally, I started reading self-help books and later on transitioned into other things that interested me in life. I remember watching videos about certain topics like imposter syndrome, and the person would refer to a certain book, and I thought, okay, this 10-minute video gave me some information. Maybe if I just read this book, that would give me a deeper knowledge, deeper understanding of the same topic. I had also hoped reading would be meditative as well, as I had heard from people online and fellow readers. I was hoping reading would help me bring myself to the present moment. And who doesn't want that in today's day and age? First things first, read what you love. Start by picking up a book that genuinely interests you. Take a look at your day, your life, and figure out what are the things you're passionate about. Chances are you'll commit to this book and not leave it after 5 pages, since you're already interested in the central idea or the theme of the book. Early on, I picked up Atomic Habits by James Clear as I wanted to build the habit of reading itself. And then I picked up this book as I wanted to know more about the realm of therapy. So every book after that I've read has something which interests me on a personal level. I committed to the first book in 2020 as it was something which was related to what I do, which is making videos. So I thought if I just get to know more about the realm of acting, I might get better at directing people in my videos. So even though it took me like more than a month to finish that book, I ended up finishing it. Second, start small. Be it the book you choose or the amount of time you set aside for reading. Start small. Start by reading 1 page a day or just reading for 5 minutes. Chances are with the bar set so low, you'll end up reading more, as now the act of reading is not so intimidating. Another thing I learned from Atomic Habits, I highly recommend this book. Environment. A lot of our habits are a result of our environment. Something again I read and then realized was true in my day-to-day life. I ended up reading more just by placing a book on my bedside table. Rather than mindlessly scrolling on my phone first thing in the morning or right before sleeping, I would read a few pages. And you can sort of carry this reading environment with you by carrying a book at most times. Be it you're waiting for a friend, or you're in the metro or flight or cab, rather than mindlessly scrolling through your phone again, you can get some reading done. Quit the books you don't like. I was the guy who would get stuck in this endless loop of not liking a book, hence not reading it, and then I would feel guilty for not reading. And then I would not start a new book because I haven't finished the last one yet. It was a vicious circle, and I might sound like a therapist, but this probably stems from our childhood, where we were in school, we were supposed to read every word of every page, start to end, of every book, in order to get good grades, in order to pass exams and move on to the next class. But luckily for me, now there is no exam. So if the book just doesn't interest me, I leave it. And to avoid guilt, I either give it to a friend or I donate it. Patching the habit. I like to start my morning slow. And something I've been doing since this winter is waking up early, and the first thing I do is drive down to my local cafe. And with my morning coffee, I read for about half an hour or so. And if I'm waking up late, then I grab that coffee after my evening run and read at that time. By attaching the habit of reading to something I do every single day and I enjoy on a daily basis, like drinking coffee or running, I make the habit of reading exciting and easier to perform. So you take a look at your day and see what is that activity that you look forward to every single day, and try attaching the new habit that you're trying to build to that activity. Hopefully it should be easier to perform. Funny story about this book that I found at the local cafe where I go to for my morning coffee. The name really intrigued me, so I picked it up, started reading. And the next thing you know, in the next 10 days, I read the 10 chapters, and later on I bought a copy for myself. And now I've given it to a friend since I thought she might enjoy it as well. It's a really nice book. Talk about it. I feel there are 3 levels to it. First is reading, which is good. And then there's talking to your friends and family about it. And then there's implementing things that you learn. I don't know how you would do that with a fiction book. But the reason I remember things from this book is because I was talking to my friends about it and I was implementing things in my day-to-day life. I have a few friends who developed this habit of reading in their childhood, so they've read way more books than I have. And now when we talk, it's like a new realm for conversation has been opened now that I am also about this life. So they often recommend me really nice books. If you don't have friends who read, you can find them online. I realized after posting stories of my books and just me reading, I realized that there were a lot of people who were following me and who were also reading books. So don't be shy and post that Instagram story. Last and my favorite, go to a bookstore. Initially I was buying books online, and it makes sense since often Amazon has decent discounts on books and the book usually arrives the next day. You don't need to leave your house. But then I went to a local bookstore and everything changed. Just the fact that I could look at all the other books and hold them and quickly glance through them, and the fact that there were other people of all age groups doing the same thing. There was a bookstore manager, bookstore owner, versus on Amazon where you just, after a few clicks, you're done and the book arrives the next day, which is very convenient. But I feel the bookstore experience is more human. I've had some really nice conversations at the bookstore. Sometimes they have the book, sometimes they call me to inform that the book has arrived. And I know this could be an added step for a lot of you, leaving the comfort of your house and then physically going to the bookstore. But this whole analog experience has definitely brought me closer to reading. So even though I started with a book that was small, I was reading what I love. I had all the free time in the world. In quarantine, I was reading first thing in the morning with my morning coffee. And everything was right, but I still had to force myself sometimes to read. It wasn't like I just fell in love with it on day 1 or the first week. These things take time, so be patient and don't give up too early thinking it's not your cup of tea. I used to think the same, and now it is my cup of tea that I enjoy with every morning coffee. I also feel I'm very new to this whole realm of reading, and I might make more videos as I go along this journey, so consider subscribing. And in the meantime, if something has worked for you to create habit of reading or anything else, feel free to share that with me. I can learn a thing or two from you guys about reading or habits or just life. And with that, I urge you to not look at your screen anymore and go pick up that first book. This is Prateek, and I'll see you in the next one.